Thank you. Take that. Stay there. Check, 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 check.
Good to go on all this, huh?
Check, 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 check. All right, everybody hear me okay? Is that all right? All right. No? Good? Can you hear me? Sure. Okay. Excellent, guys. Thanks for coming and sitting down, taking some time to come to the Agrifoods Show. We're always happy to see a big crowd. We had a little change in our schedule. We were going to do a little competition today, but we're going to do it tomorrow instead. And what we're going to do right now in its place is we're going to show you how to smoke some things at home. Traditionally, smoking, when you think about it, you think about a big smoker, you think about going down and getting a piece of equipment at, a Bradley smoker or something that's kind of, more for your home. But it's big. It goes outside. It's like a barbecue. You got to put charcoals in it. It's a kind of a whole day event. And the issue with that is that sometimes you don't want to be spending the whole day smoking something to get a unique and interesting dish on the plate. So I'm going to show you a piece of equipment that's affordable, that's available, and it allows you to smoke things at home within minutes. And if you want to have more intense smoke flavor, you let it go longer. If you want to have less, you let it go less, but it's your call, and it's a matter of taste. And the only thing you need is the ingredient that you want to smoke, some saran wrap, and a bowl, and you're good to go. So we're going to do, I've got already made the samples, and it's sitting there smoking now, actually, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we were doing this mash real quick, but generally when you do a mash, you go with a larger cut than this. So we got potato, parsnip, equal part. And when you're doing parsnip, depending on the parsnip that you get, the root vegetables here on the island are really good, but sometimes they're really small. And the thing about a parsnip is the core. Sometimes the core is a bit woody, and sometimes it's really hard to remove. And it will leave you'll notice it in this, it'll leave a texture that's a little different than potato, not as smooth, but we went with a rustic style. If you don't like that kind of feel of parsnip, you can remove the core. It's a little bit particular if it's small, or you can use a ricer and you can kind of push it through. This is a simple ricer, around $20. And you put your mashed in there once it's cooked, and you just squeeze it through, and it basically makes little tiny fine strands. So the texture is a little more enjoyable, and it's really easy. So these are available at Dominion and all the grocery stores, and they make the texture of everything change and a little better. So it'll save you that effort of kind of cutting out the core of the parsnip, okay? So that's a really handy, helpful thing. Makes the best mashed potatoes ever. So get back to smoking. This is called a Polyscience smoking gun. And the Polyscience company is a company that makes a lot of the molecular gastronomy equipment for commercial kitchens. So if you go to a really nice restaurant in Toronto, or it's fancy and you're spending money, chances are they're using things like this, and they're using sous vide machines, and because that quality of cooking is at a different level. To do those things at home is very complicated, and you need to make massive investments. So they came up with this thing for people to go on the go and in your home. And it's as simple, perfect. It's as simple as this. So again, I've kind of got that smoking, so I think before I do that, I'm just going to illustrate the equipment here. So you can get different types. Now this is made by Polyscience, and this is a bit expensive. But all you need to do is you can get the stuff at Canadian Tire. It's food safe. It's meant for using with food. It's very cheap. It's around $10 for a big bag. And you just need to kind of, blitz it or chop it up so it's a bit smaller. But we've got cherry here, and we've got apple. So with the parsnip, apple is a great combination. So we decided to go with the apple. So it's as simple as the only thing there is to this equipment is a hose and a gun. So the hose goes on, and you've got a little center here to put your wood chips in, which we'll do, and a little stand. So I'm going to fill that up with wood chips. And the more you pack it in, the longer that's going to last, the more smoke that's going to create. And if you want to do another cycle, you let it burn down, you fill it back up, and you kind of go again. Smoke is one of those things where, for me personally, it needs to be subtle. I don't want that smoke to be the main taste. I still want to taste the potato, I want to taste the parsnip, but that smoke should just bring an element to the dish that changes it, elevates it, makes it better. And we're going to do that very easily. So everyone here, I'm sure, has made mashed potato. So once your mashed potato is made, I was kind of whipping those up real quick there because we were behind schedule. So there's my mashed. And I can smell the smoke off it. It's beautiful. And all we'll do is take a little bit of this. And you want to make sure you got a pretty good tight seal. And then all you do is kind of sneak that up and underneath it. Just kind of position that like that, make sure that's in there good. All right, and it's as simple as this. I love equipment that's got one button. On, off. Those are the best. Anything with buttons and screens, I don't know. So when I see a piece of equipment like this, I'm thinking, great, you know. At least someone was thinking about people like myself. So basically what you do is you turn it on, and by turning it on, it just creates air, a flow of air, so it keeps the wood burning, the same as a fire outdoors, and you know, you give it oxygen. So we just turn it on. It's got a little noise. You hear that? Very quiet, but it's a little motor in there. And then we just light it. No different than a barbecue or... So once it starts to, can you guys see that? And you just kind of see it smoking. And you can see the smoke going into the bowl now. So to give you all an idea, I'll take this back out. I think I packed it a little too tight. Let me position myself properly here, folks. There we go. You see it? All right. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So all that smoke was used to flavor your food. So you kind of get that back in there. Let that bowl fill up with smoke. And then it's as simple as just kind of keep adding it if you want more smoke or less smoke. And what's really nice about this, sometimes you see this kind of stuff on, you know, those shows, those kind of master chef-y shows. You know, and they're creating smoke. And one thing that's due, if you got a cloche to go over your plate, and you really want to impress some guests at home, it's really nice just to make a dish. I'm going to turn that off now. I tell you, it's really nice to make a dish, plate everything like you would, and get just a plastic clear cloche to kind of go over the plate. And just before you go to serve, fill the bowls with smoke. So when you bring out each individual's plate for dinner, it's covered in a glass dome. When they lift it, the smoke just kind of evaporates, and it leaves that subtle smoke flavor across the entire dish. You will impress guests like you've never impressed them before. They'll be shocked at what you're doing. And they won't even see this. That will be done in the back room, so you'll be able to say, oh no, it's a special technique that I learned somewhere overseas. And part of the, you make up a grand old story. So the longer you let this sit, more intense the smoke is going to be. All right. So again, it's all about your own personal taste, playing with the equipment, and kind of getting the feel. So in order to make sure that does have some good smoke flavor for you guys to sample, I'm going to let that kind of just do its thing. That's as hard as it is, what you just saw do there. In the meantime, just to kind of illustrate other things that you can do, let's take cheese. Normal cheese, nothing fancy about this, just a block of cheddar. You can buy fancy cheese if you want. You can do goat's cheese. You can go, one thing that we did back for ourselves was we smoked some apple. So we just took some apple, chopped it up, put it in a bowl, filled the bowl up with smoke, let it go for about maybe a minute, took it off, had a little bit of ice cream with the smoked apple. Out of this world. Simple, easy, but you're adding a flavor to the food that you can't bring through anything other than an artificial means. A liquid smoke, which is really strong and dominant and dangerous to use, and it can throw your whole dish off in an instant. I mean, just a drop more than it should be. It's really artificial. It's not pure. This is no different than smoking with a smoker. This is just like that. You could smoke meat with it. You just have to kind of keep adding fuel to it, so it's probably not the best for that. But so the smaller you cut something, so if I wanted to smoke this entire block of cheese, that's going to take a while, right? But if I just kind of do some sample cuts here for you guys and kind of cube it small, then the amount that of smoke that I'm going to have to actually kind of put on that is not going to be a whole lot. So I'll make sure we got enough for everybody to sample. Any questions on this machine, just while I'm kind of cutting this stuff up? Now that's the thing about equipment like this. You don't find it in retail stores because it's generally not a retail piece of equipment. You also don't find it in industry supply shops either, because companies who make products like this generally sell them themselves. So what you do is you just go to polyscience.com and you just order directly from them. And I'll tell you, with stuff like this, I find it best to buy straight from the company anyway, because you got a warranty, they give you recipe books, they give you support, they have a support line, they have, you know, I just think that it's a good way to go. So you want to go to Polyscience, they're the ones that make it, and it's called the Smoking Gun. It's the only piece of equipment they have that's meant for residential. Everything else they have, you'll notice, will have a $15,000 price tag on it, so I mean, you're not... but this one here is actually quite a handy little device. So as simple as just cutting up some cheese, nothing fancy here, folks. And you can see that that smoke is kind of, it's still there. It takes a little bit to kind of die down. And again, same idea. We're going to throw that in there. I'm going to wrap this bowl tight. Sure. It's around $110. So sometimes people go, oh, you know, it's $110, but it's quality equipment. You get a lot of versatility out of it, and it lasts forever. It's warranted. And I'm not trying to push this company. I've got no affiliation with them. I just love the unit. I use it quite a bit. I think it's a great piece of equipment. And like I say, I use it quite a bit, and I'm a single guy, so sometimes I'll do that impressive cloche thing if I'm having company over, you know? It's always kind of just, entertaining is about socializing, bringing friends, family together. Food binds us. It connects us to history. It connects us to our current, you know, state of mind. It's a part of you. We can't go without eating, and you know, when you really enjoy food, these types of things make a difference. You know, because they're appreciated. So anybody who spends time in the kitchen, I think it's a great idea to kind of have equipment like this. So it's a little pricey, but if you're going to buy a KitchenAid mixer, you're going to buy a food processor, you're going to buy a blender, you're going to buy any of those things, they're all going to be in those price brackets, right? A good blender is, you know, $300-400 for a good one. And I'm sure some of you have had experience with the $40 and $50 ones. They just don't cut it, right? So you know, with something like Polyscience, you're getting the best, right? You're getting something that these guys don't mess around. They make good quality stuff. So you can see, I don't know if you can see in that mirror, the bowl just kind of filling with smoke. So the objective is to basically just trap it. Just get it in there, get it trapped, and then just let it absorb that flavor. And again, some of you who sample this may think it's a bit intense, right? Depending on how long. Some may think it's subtle, but that's for you guys to kind of play with. All you're doing is letting it smoke longer or less, all right? Just making those slight adjustments and tasting. Really, 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 really simple stuff. So before I sample it to you, I've kind of got to sample it myself, make sure that it's okay. Make sure it tastes like smoke. It'd be embarrassing if there's no smoke taste, won't it? So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to wrap that tight. Well, we're going to put that there. We're going to let that cheese just smoke a little bit. Put that machine aside. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. So as we lift it off, we can see the smoke just kind of, and see how it gives it that kind of cool, it just evaporates off, you know. It's a really kind of theatrical kind of thing to do in your home. I got little pools of butter down there, and it's just soaking up all that smoke. I'll mix all that. It's just fantastic. All right. So this is definitely rustic, guys. This is not smooth. I didn't find. I basically boiled this and just rough mashed it. Simple as that. I didn't mess around or try to smooth it out. I wanted to kind of keep it as home style as possible. I'm even mixing it with this spoon. I mean, that's as home style as it gets, right? All right, so we get a drum roll. I might have to smoke this a little more if it's not smoky enough. So what's really interesting about it is that I know it's potato, I know it's parsnip, and I also know it's smoke. All right, it's there. And it's a different flavor. It's unique. So the question is, who wants to taste? We got a big old bowl to pass around. So before we start passing out samples,